So I just been listening to the new CD, man, and I've got to say, first impression, I'm utterly impressed with it.
Thank you.
Totally reaches right to the depths of my soul. Very much in a language that I can understand. That passionate type of music, and very gloomy, right up my alley. So I'm digging that. Now I'm very interested in. Obviously, this is your fourth release for the label, and making records these days is not an easy task. What can you tell me about the process of this album as compared to previous recordings? I mean, was it easier or more difficult than what you put out before?
I think it was probably easier, to be honest. We've just been doing it. We've had some experience under our belts with albums in the past, and the writing was. We never try and rush the writing. We always try and make sure that we've got enough time. So even when Monolith was finished being written, but before we started recording Monolith, we still, keep writing. So, there was songs written to this album before we went in the studio to record Monolith. So we're always well prepared, always really ahead of ourselves in that respect, so we can, not rush it and make sure that everything's, every tiny detail has been picked apart and everything. The recording, it was just quicker than anything we've done before, and part of that was deliberate and part of that was just from experience. So we did the drums in March with that was when our previous drummer was still in the band, Rob. So we tracked the drums with him, which was like 5 days, and we went on tour for a while, and after the tour we came back and I produced everything else, guitars, bass and vocals, did all the engineering for that at home. Well, not at home, but in our hometown in Reading, at a local studio, and it's much easier just being able to record yourself, and just with experience over the years, myself as a producer, I've produced other bands as well. I'm just got to the point where I'm really confident with what I'm doing, and was confident to handle doing our own album as well as playing on it, and it's so much easier when you can record yourselves. And in terms of it being quicker, we just wanted we didn't want to overanalyze anything and overplay. So we wanted to really rehearse and make sure we're as good on our instruments and as tight as we could play everything, but we didn't want to chop riffs up and make it sound like a computer's played it. So we wanted just to capture a really live atmosphere, and if it took longer than an hour to get a riff tight, then that's as tight as we get it, and we just move on to the next one and just try and keep it really quick to try and maintain a kind of live feel to it.
Mm-hmm. Right. I totally hear what you're saying. I'm glad you guys were able to pull it together after this accident that happened. I mean, it was questionable whether there was even going to be a band to continue on, and you guys all healed from your injuries, but I know there was there seems to be a lot of darkness on this album, and I know you guys have been through a lot. Besides the accident, also losing Rob, your drummer, and having a new member changes. Obviously, this has affected the writing in some way.
To be honest, I think, like I was saying, we're always so prepared, but we'd written the album before we went on that tour and we crashed, so most of it was all written by that point. In terms of it coming out more dark, it's just something that we just naturally kind of gravitate towards more and more. And maybe we won't get any darker than we have done on this one, but it's anything from dark music or dark films or imagery and artwork. It just seems to kind of draw us in, and I don't quite understand how it all came together that way, but it wasn't really forced too much. It just kind of happened by accident, which is kind of weird, but we sort of just went with it, and we just figured, when the songs started coming together, this is going to be a dark album, so we just kind of kept pushing it that way. The more we wrote, and the more the lyrics started flowing and that kind of thing, yeah.
It's interesting. I I find that the subconscious is what comes to surface in instances like this. You may not expect it that way, but it seems like that. Obviously, there's things that are affecting you in life, or how you're viewing things, and you know. So that's very interesting. Now I know that this album tends to be, I don't want to say political, but in some ways political, definitely philosophical. Dealing with issues, in a way, it seems like issues that have plagued humanity since the dawn of time. And you're talking about, just not, how people can just be sheep and follow blindly. And I think music has always been a platform to try and promote social change. But it seems like that's what every band's, been trying to do from the dawn of time. It's come out. They've kind of pushed that. Do you think that there's an end to the challenges that we face, or there's just going to be more challenges to take their place?
I really don't know. I think you're kind of right to say it's slightly more political, but just as you were a bit concerned about using that word, I don't really like to say political, just in terms of people get scared that you're going to turn into some, preaching political band and it's going to detract from your music. So we're not going, down the political route, but there's more of a political or social commentary on the album. It's hard to know where that's going to go. To be honest, I really have no idea. Like you say, it's more kind of just philosophical, and a lot of bands have been writing about the same kind of stuff. Or just, with, just paying more attention to that kind of stuff and social awareness, political awareness and everything. And it's very hard to say. It's really hard to know what's going on.
Right. I'm always reminded of Dave Mustaine's lyrics in Peace Sells, where it says, "If there's a new way, I'll be the first in line, but it better work this time." And it seems like there's never been a new way. People keep trying to make some kind of a change, or they just get burnt on trying to make a change and just let things be as they are, and then that's, but the problems are never being resolved. And that's
kind of what the lyrics are about, and especially like the album title. It's just people, they're either scared of change, or they just don't like thinking about it, and it's people just kind of don't like to question things, or just get too think about heavy issues too much, because you start to get a bit paranoid or down. I guess that's probably why the album's so gloomy, just because when you do start to pay attention to the world at large, you can be quite you can feel quite jaded by it all, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm very a big fan of artwork as well. I wish everybody had vinyl coming out so we could just study these, in the big picture. I've always been one to pick things apart when it comes to that night, and I really despise artists who put out something and just slap whatever on their cover just to have a cover. But the artwork is fantastic on this album. Definitely reflective of what's contained therein. I do find that without actually getting an explanation, it can be pretty subjective and open to interpretation, and kind of gruesome at that.
It's kind of like just a symbolic image, the sacrificial lamb. There's nothing literal behind that, but it kind of represents how, there's like this ominous figure in the background, and what's kind of implied is that that this woman is sacrificing this lamb because she feels, pressured. So it's either like feeling pressured to live your life in a certain way because that's how society has deemed it correct, or just keeping traditions going just for the sake of it because, we've always done it this way, so why change now? Which is just some of the themes on the album, and I think it's just the best way to represent it visually. And like you say, with the artwork's super important to us. We don't want to just slap anything on the cover, and it has to really reflect the mood of the album. pleased with how it turned out.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely digging the artwork. Looking at it, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of controversy surrounding it until people hear what you have to say about it. Somebody knows, this is a black metal band, or are they satanic, or there's
Yeah, no, I'm kind of open for that. Luckily, not many people have really picked up on it that way. Kind of, I guess when they hear Dormant Heart as well, they seem to think it's going to be like some soothing album or something. I don't know.
Yeah, a little misleading there. I don't know. First thought is it looks like a Grateful Dead album cover to me, just with the color scheme that's there. So.
Yeah, well, we're super into like a lot of 70s music, especially like 70s prog rock, and into vinyl as well in a big way, and just love the kind of classic 70s vibe and artwork and a lot of the Art Nouveau kind of style. So yeah, in the same way that we do it musically, we love thrash, and that's the biggest part of what we do. But we try and just incorporate some more mature elements and doing it in a more mature way, I guess. I don't know. I don't want it to sound like we think we're above thrash or like being pretentious, but yeah, we try and approach it in a more, I don't know, like as much as we love bands that super thrashy and everything, we like a lot more bands like Cult of Luna or like Pink Floyd, bands with a bit more depth, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
So and that's kind of what we aim with the artwork as well. To have something that's not just some cheesy pile of skulls and loads of blood and what most metal bands would do, I guess.
Right, and I have to say I appreciate that in so many ways you have no idea, because I believe that avenue has just been gone down so many times. It's just kind of become redundant, and cliche, and I really dig what you guys do. And I have this whole thing, like, as an American, I swear to God, I was just born on the wrong side of the pond, because when it comes to American music, there's very little that I'm interested in. I love the Bay Area thrash, and I know you guys were influenced by that a lot, but at the same time, talking about adding some depth there and being into other bands and being more mature in that's exactly where my heart lies, always has. And so anytime there's a band, a European band, that I catch wind of, I mean, that's exactly where I'm drawn for those very reasons, and you guys are right at the forefront of that, and I appreciate that.
Well, thanks, man. Well, you've still got bands like Mastodon and Tool doing good stuff in America. So, to be honest with you, mainland Europe's where it's at. In terms of the UK, it's there's no bands in the UK. It's such a tiny country. I mean, you could fit it in Texas like 4 times. So, there aren't that many other bands coming out of England per se. But yeah, mainland Europe's definitely got a lot of great bands in that respect as well.
Right, definitely. And I don't know, as far as music goes, I think Europe's always had the upper hand, though, going back to the classical artists. I mean, there's always been more thought put into it, and I really appreciate the melodic aspect that you guys bring. You have that thrashy vibe, but you also have a lot of textured melodic portions of the music that really drive it home and to the heart. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as important to us as the heavy stuff. We try not to overlook either side of what we do. The melody's got to have some power to it, I guess, just as much as the heavy stuff does. Right.
I was talking to Mile from Creator about a month ago or so, and we were having a similar conversation, and we were talking about how Europe has always been more classically tinged, as where America's very much rooted in the blues type aspects of music. So, and
no, that makes sense.
And so not a big blues fan. I appreciate it, and there are some things that I dig on it, but I don't know, just the European scene. I was very depressed in the 90s when a lot of the newer metal bands, like the new metal type bands like Korn and stuff like that, came out. It just wasn't my thing, and I listened to them because they were heavy, at least, because during the whole grunge era over here, it just affected me in a way that was so negative. And the cool thing was metal evolved differently on the other side of the pond there, over in Europe. And so once I discovered that, there was no looking back at that point.
Yeah, I think kind of the Swedish bands took over.
Yeah, the Swedish bands did that, and I spent some time in Sweden years ago, and before all that happened, and I kind of wish I was there at a different period of time. When I was there, everybody was into punk, so yeah, metal was a bad word at that point. But needless to say, there may not be a lot of bands there in Britain and England, but over Europe there's a lot, and then over here we have all the American bands, Five Finger Death Punch and Lamb of God, and the more heavier, blues tinged metal bands. And for me to get out to a show and see the bands I like, it's next to impossible. Thus, the next question is, when can we expect to see you guys over here in the U.S.?
It's early to say at this point, but at the end of, hopefully by the end of summer will be the plan to try and get out, or maybe the start of summer. We want to try and get on either a festival tour over there, or it really just depends on what we can get offered. So, but yes, we intend to come back to the US for sure. But like I say, it's quite early for us to know how that'll be.
Right. I know it's a very difficult market because of the size and being so spread out. Hard to come out with your finances intact.
Yeah, especially for the exchange rate for us.
Right.
And just like there's so many bands in the US, and so many bands coming through and touring that it's, the fans are overwhelmed with the shows to go to.
Right, absolutely. Well, I do hope that you manage to get it together and make it over here, and be it festival or just a club tour or whatever it might be, you can count me on in as being there. Definitely. Big fan.
Awesome,
really digging this new album. I thank you so much for your time, man.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, thank you very much for the interview. Really appreciate it, man.
All right. We'll talk again sometime.
Cool, man. Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, have a great day, and thanks for having me on.
All right. You too, man. Have a good one.
Take care, man. See ya. Bye.
Bye.